And question is, how to place all these locators in correct position in order their outer contours of these locators give you correct outer surface of this wing by attaching to the mounting standard. But do pay attention also, it's visible. Where I have dropped the pen. It's visible here. One of locators is not finished yet. No? Like it was with mounting standard, not finished. One of locators not finished. How jig actually work at all? You see this pin is removable, easy removable. In our jig we have pins everywhere, at the bottom, at the top, but in real jig usually only one side is with pins and another has permanent hinge, for instance, screw, bolt and nut. It's openable, and do imagine that all this side is openable. And after you open it on one side, you may either locate something in the jig or you may remove ready item in a jig. So at the beginning, once again, we have the frame with empty barrels. We have no these elements, whether they will be joined next to with bolts or bolts and pins supposed to be, or they are also joined using the cement, they are yet absent. This element, jigging plate, also is absent. And contour locators and forks, they are separately placed near the jig. Contour locators, they are not even finished. You see, it does not repeat all the surface. What for? In order, as I said you, we copy the outer contours of locators from mounting standard. What to start this procedure? First, imagine no any support. No, you see now that that mounting standard is rested on the special, they are called reference platforms. And no these reference platforms yet, once again, and seems like there is no place to place mounting standard. You may only hang it and like stay in the air. What should we do? We may use so-called temporary supports. In real life, usually it comes either about screw jacks, special devices, screw-type devices which may support some carry some cargo, or it comes about wooden bars even. Elementary pieces, wooden bars, wooden bricks, which easy to find everywhere. And what is our idea? Just place mounting standard inside the jig frame, which is empty yet, I hope you do remember. Place it on the wooden supports and fix it somehow to the frame of the jig. What does it mean somehow? Again, either with special screw clamps or even with belts. It would be hanged on belts in this case. And mounting standard is located, or you may say placed in the frame of assembly jig on these wooden supports or on any technological supports, and fix it with any technological clamps in some predetermined position. This position is predetermined in a special drawing which is called mounting scheme of assembly jig. It's one of drawings of the set of drawings of assembly tooling. So if we have a need to produce the assembly jig, besides of assembly jig drawings, assembly drawing, and at least besides of the drawings, so-called work drawing of the elements, we will have additional documents. At least it will be mounting scheme which explain how you're going to assemble the jig or to mount the jig. So in mounting scheme, we see where mounting standard should be, and with accuracy, plus minus some millimeters, we place it, but it's not so great accuracy as it's necessary to assemble the jig as a whole. When it comes about the accuracy of jig, it comes about plus minus 0.1, plus minus 0.5 accuracy of outer contours. And here we're just placing, as I said, your mounting standard with accuracy plus minus couple of millimeter. Locate it onto temporary support, clamp it by temporary support. What is next? Next, actually, you may start already procedure of jig mounting, but what is the function of this mounting standard? First time ever for assembly jig, to mount assembly jig by the mounting standard. Attach all the elements to the mounting standard, fix them in some predetermined position, and next remove mounting standard and you have assembly jig. Great. But how long you going to use this assembly jig? Maybe some years. How you going to check this jig in a year of its work? Especially if it was intensive work. Maybe you need to check it each month. How? No, maybe you need to compare it with the previous carrier of all the sizes. You need to compare it to the mounting standard. How you may know where it was the first ever time when you need to place it here second time, third time, and so on during some years. Either you need to come to measuring, or you have to have some places in assembly jig which you may just place mounting standard onto to repeat it's the very first position in this assembly jig. Such places are reference platforms. Once again, for first time they are not necessary. They are necessary only when you'd like to place mounting standard in assembly jig, for instance, for inspection, for second time, fifth time, maybe 100th time. And after we place it mounting standard on temporary supports, we work with these reference platforms. Pay attention that as mounting standard, as surface standard, they have these special places, something like legs, with reference platforms of this tooling itself. I did not say it today yet, that both mounting standard, counter standard, surface standard, they are tooling of second order. They are secondary tooling. Actually, they are primary tooling, but they are tooling of second order because they are never work with real parts. They are tooling which is necessary to create another tooling. Now, once again, how we're going to locate everything in a jig? By attaching to mounting standard. How we may find position of these reference platforms of jig, exact position, if they are not exist now? We may attach them to mounting standard either. So we do it. Next step, after mounting standard is placed and fixed, attach, locate the reference platform. How we may attach it? It has special holes, you see, it's also... sorry. It has special hole, and this hole is next fixed with a pin, with a special technological pin of very high accuracy. That is why it's moved so difficult. And attach a reference platform of the jig to the reference platform of mounting standard. Clamp it with special high quality pin. What is next? It's in correct position, but this correct position now it's fixed only with this pin. And as only you remove pin, for instance, to remove mounting standard, reference platform of jig is not fixed to the jig. So what is next step? After attaching and clamping of reference platform of assembly jig to mounting standard reference platform, next you need to join with permanent joining any fasteners or cement, join reference platform of assembly jig to the frame of assembly jig. And repeat it for all the places with reference platforms. Typically not less than 3 such points. It may be more, but not less than 3. Next. What is next? Next we suppose to wait if we have used cement, or we may continue immediately if we use fasteners like bolts and pins. But what is next? I need your imagination. Assembly jig now looks like the frame, this blue one, mounting standard, wooden supports, belts, and reference platforms. What we should do next? We need to remove all the wooden supports, reference belts, all the technological temporary clamps. We should remove everything this in order to release mounting standard from all the unnecessary relations. In order, mounting standard rested only on these reference platforms. Now, I hope you do remember about residual stresses and other things that may change a bit positions of elements after you have produced it, in order to make sure that mounting standard not limited with anything else. We remove all the temporary supports, leave it only on reference platforms, and now we're ready to continue the procedure of mounting the jig. Usually, you see that these elements, locators of contours, they are, let's say, interfering. They don't give normal access to another elements, like these locators of junctions we need to place. Here is locator of junction for flat junction. It's called jigging plate. That one, it's locator of that one, black one, is locator of I-type junction. I hope you do remember that gauge is a tooling. Gauge belongs to the mounting standard, and what is belong to the jig, it's called locator. So usually we start working exactly with locator of junctions. Moreover, this locator is supposed to be even more accurate than locators of contours, usually. Now, what should we do? Next, you will see that text of technological process, that procedure of locating, procedure of mounting. It's repeated. It's identical to what we did to the reference platforms. It will be 2 magic words each time. No, 3 magic words. Attach, clamp, join to the assembly jig frame. Now, attach locator of junction, attach locator of junction of I-type to gauge at mounting standard or to gauge of mounting standard. Or better to use, of course, word locate. What does it mean locate in this case? What our bases are? No, I will not unscrew this, but I hope you see. We see a hole, and this hole, joint bore hole, GBH hole in real structure will be. This hole is the most important in all this locator. So first we align the holes in gauge and this locator of contour. Next, also we have surfaces here. You see it with significant clearance. You might see I use pen on purpose. You may assess the clearance. Of course, in real life, it's not like this. I will show you next real jig in order you to notice the difference, let's say. And first, align the hole, no? And in the process of aligning of this hole, of course, you also attach it to one of surfaces, align surfaces. It's to the matter about the basis of this assembly jig. One of the base is, once again, axis of GBH. Axis of GBH. And another base is one of these inner surfaces. So attach or locate locators of locator of GBH, locator of fork type to the gauge of mounting standard, clamp it with special technological fastener. Maybe it's a special high quality pin, maybe it's special bolt with nut. Next, join to the frame of jig. And here we start the story about cements. Now, to compare, for instance, what we did. Not we did, but someone did here and here. And let's try to imagine what is the difference in labor input of the joining. What looks like the joining with cement? In this case, it's enough only to insert syringe with cement, special cement, easy hardenable cement, this NIAT mountain cement, it's called. NIAT, it's a scientific institute of aviation technologies. And cement compound you already have seen in your laboratory manual by this moment. What do we have? Once again, we have syringe. Do imagine syringe with cement inserted here. Push the button. In some seconds, you have all the barrel filled with cement, and you just need to wait literally 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and after 15 minutes, it's already frozen enough, and it doesn't flow out. What about this place? As you do remember, when it comes about the accurate joining, it means that bolts are not enough. Whether bolts or screws are not enough. It means that you need to make holes there. With this thread must be for screws, or at least high quality holes for bolts in order to tighten the nut from backside. But before you do it, you also need to do holes for pins. They are not presented in this laboratory toy, but pins are necessary to locate everything with very high accuracy. And you do remember certainly that drilling, it's rough operation. It's give you, no, in the better case, it's 12 quality grade, international quality grade. Typically, it's 14 international quality grade. It means that if you need to do hole with high accuracy, you have to drill it next. To bore this hole or to countersink this hole with special countersinkers. Actually, also they look like drills, but they have more cutting blades. Couple of times of countersinking for each holes, and no less than 3-4 times of reaming for each hole for pin. And all this take your employee time. No. Maybe it comes about half an hour for each such a place. And to compare making permanent joint with a syringe and this one, where you have a need in drill bit, or sometimes countersinkers, some reamers, you need high qualified employee and you need electrical energy to fulfill all this. So certainly that is more easy in mounting, and it's no less reliable. That is proven with all our experience, at least for last 70 years maybe. That is why we're using the cement. But we not insist, as you'd like. You may use screws, bolts, pins, as you'd like. What is next? After you made locators. No, don't forget that we have one locator, we have another locator. After you did this, you at least should write that repeat items number for another locators. We still have need in locator, which is called jigging plate. Once again, pay attention what it looks like. You see perimeter of holes here, GBH holes. But do pay attention, there is no any attempt from this side to repeat these holes. Moreover, in this place, certainly the mounting standard is unfinished. Why? Because it's not located, this jigging plate, by all the GBH holes now. It would be too much. It's located only by 2 base holes. What these holes, which on the axis of the wing, base holes, which comes either from first ever 3D model of wing, or in our previous periods of history of aerospace manufacturing, they were immediately in theoretical loft for first time ever. And these holes are used as basis for locating the jigging plate to mounting standard. So mounting standard has base hole of high accuracy, and jigging plate has base hole of high accuracy. How base hole has appeared in jigging plate? No, it's another story. I hope you do remember about mother plate, which is called master plate, and which is mother for 2 jigging plates for this jig, which repeats the wing, and for another jig, for instance, for center wing section, or maybe it was fuselage, depending on what this jig is going to be joined to the fuselage or to the center wing. So master plate is necessary to produce jigging plate first, two jigging plates, couple of jigging plates for one wing and for the place which it will be joined to. And the mounting standard, or at least gauge of junctions, it's necessary to find position of the jigging plate in a jig while mounting. How are we finding position? Once again, by base holes.